Welcome back, my kings and queens, to another episode of the King's Vault podcast, where every conversation held on this platform is to edify, to educate, and to help elevate the minds of our kings in today's society. Along with me today, we have a special guest. We have Sam, out of way of Maryland. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Blessed and highly favored. Listen, thank you for taking the time being on this episode with us. For those who don't know, Sam himself is a great speaker. He's a professional speaker. He is a consultant. He trains staff and trains in the corporate world on individuals to improve with their leadership skills and leadership abilities. So today we're gonna talk about growth and development. Most precisely, the title for this episode is "Growth During the Drought." How you like that, man?
Nah, I love it. I love the title. I remember when you sent it to me, I was like, nah, that's a good title, man.
Appreciate it. We're trying to come up with catchy subjects and catchy titles so people can you know uh be intrigued and find a way to get their attention. So, like we said, today's topic is going to be on growth and development. Um, First off the gate, what is the meaning of growth to you?
Um, the meaning of growth to me is being able to look at a situation, your life
Mm,
experiences, and find a way to learn from them. So,
mm-hmm,
like for me, you had mentioned, I live out in Maryland. Been out here for about 2 years now. But growing up in my hometown, Coatesville, Pennsylvania,
mm,
the one thing that I loved about my time there, and the reason why I call it my hometown because I moved there at 9 and spent majority of my life there, is that I had a lot of life experiences
mm,
and I found a way to learn from them. Not all of them, but enough to help kind of change the trajectory of my life and the way that I
mm,
was headed and to be able
mm.
to be where I'm at today. So I would say like growth truly is your learning from your life experiences and utilizing it to elevate yourself.
Nice, nice. That is a great observation. That is a great, one can say, epiphany or enlightenment, right? You take what you pretty much were dealt, or you take what was given to you, and then you grow from it, or you grew from it. That is awesome. Does growth mean development?
Does growth mean development?
Mm,
I would say growth is the result of development.
mm,
So it's like the byproduct of you developing yourself. You're
okay.
going to grow. It's inevitable. No one develops themselves and doesn't grow. Like athletes, they
Right.
don't develop, a skill set, how to dribble, how to shoot, how to play defense, and not grow into like, regular player to all star to superstar. Like you see it all the time.
Right.
In athletes, you see it all the time in people in the entertainment and movie industry, even myself, like as a speaker, and
Mm-hmm.
where I started from making
Mm-hmm.
Instagram videos and, speaking for free to where I am now, speaking in front of thousands of people, speaking
Right.
at in different parts of the world,
Right.
different parts of the United States, and it's all because of development. I've been working on my craft, and
Mm,
I've grown into the person that I am today. So I would say that growth doesn't mean development. Growth
mm-hmm.
is the result of development.
Nice, 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 nice. Yeah, there's a quote that I was uh researching, getting ready for the episode. As always, there's this particular quote that says, "The purpose of development is to rise to the level and quality of life that a population or productivity or necessary, even a reactive way." So when one finds purpose, they understand that this purpose needs to shift, or one finds the need for said purpose, they feel like I have to shift in this particular area. Do you agree?
I would say I definitely do. I
Mm,
think I definitely do agree with like the thought process behind it. I
Mm-hmm.
think everyone needs to have a solid thought process behind what does growth mean to them, what does
Mm-hmm.
development mean to them,
Mm-hmm.
um, because when you're going through this journey in life, you have to define what that journey looks like. And I think a lot of
Right.
times we try to force growth in certain areas
Mm.
that isn't a part of our journey, isn't a part of where we should be, or
Okay.
where we desire to be. A lot of people get to the top of their careers and realize like this is not what I wanted, and you've been
Mm.
growing in the wrong way. So like I would definitely agree overall with just like how he like came to that thought process of what that means to him.
Right. Yeah, because like you said, it's understanding where you are as well too, in it, where you want to see. Oh no, right now in life, I'm this particular person, or I'm individually, I'm different. Because I remember for me, I'm telling you, man, who I am today is not who I was in high school.
Right.
And I'm sure everybody would say that, right? But I know the kind of growth and self development that I had to go through to become who I am today. One of my great mentors one time told me, if you're not growing or developing in the way that your future self is going to be grateful for, then you're not really growing. Better yet, if you're not growing and developing, becoming a man that your kids are not going to be proud of in the future, you're not growing, right? So that's always stuck with me. It's like, man, who do who who do I want to be? Better yet, who who would my kids want me to be? Not what them want me to be, but in the sense of like, how can they be proud of the man that I will be for them? Right. And it's not like I'm doing it for them, but it's just like knowing self and having value and respect for yourself to allow you to grow and develop in such way. Like the title says, growth during the drought. In the drought part of the title, in which we're discussing this evening, it's more so just on the when everything else around you seems to be stagnant, right? The drought. The reason why I say that through the word drought in that, when everything around you seems to be almost dead or not fruitful at all. In today's society, the idea of somebody wanting to grow and improve themselves kind of becomes like, why? Especially if you've been around the same people your whole life,
Mm-hmm.
from childhood to teenage to adulthood to now. It's just like if you say, I want to do this, the first people to challenge that thought process is your surrounding. Would you agree?
Definitely. I would definitely agree in a sense of like if you are in the same environment
Mm-hmm.
and doing the same thing and you don't see like hope and opportunity to do something else,
Right.
then like you're going to get stuck in that. And that's why like a lot of times in our communities, young kids like they get stuck in whatever is going on in the city is because like they don't see any examples of anything else besides what's
Mm-hmm.
going on in their community. So therefore like they're they think that's their only option.
Right.
um and even like the one thing I want people to understand is when you're on this journey of growth or desire to like become better, right? For
Mm-hmm.
everyone that's listening that may feel like they're stuck,
Mm-hmm.
in my book that I'm releasing, Grow Through What You Go Through,
Nice
there's a
title, by the way.
chapter, huh?
Nice title, by the way. I saw that. I
Oh,
was like,
thank
oh,
you.
okay, this is gonna be
So
fire.
yeah, in the book title, Grow Through What You Go Through, there's a chapter that says maintaining is a form of growth. And I want people to
Mm,
understand that just because you don't see things changing around you or you don't see the money coming in or the fruits of your labor,
mm-hmm.
you have to understand that like being in the position that you are and maintaining it is challenging in itself. I
Mm,
always say like to my younger siblings, little cousins, different things like that,
mm-hmm.
it's easy to get something. It's hard to keep it. So it's
Mm,
easy to get to a certain level in life where you have now changed your life around or you're now like not in the streets or you have like accomplish something like getting a degree or whatever, it's hard to like stay there because it's easy to go back to the old ways because it's easier. You've
Mm-hmm.
already done it, you've already accomplished it, you already overcame it. So it's
Mm-hmm.
easy to go back to something that you overcame. But it's
Right.
hard to keep climbing that mountain. You can turn around and go down because you already know the path and it's easy. But
Mm.
climbing that mountain, you don't know what's ahead of you and you
Right.
have to navigate like the uncertain, the unknown.
Right.
But but staying where you're at and regrouping and recharging yourself and getting prepared for the next leg of that mountain,
Mm-hmm.
that's hard in itself because you got to
Yeah.
weather the storm.
Right. 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 That's powerful, man. The mind is a challenging thing. Sometimes our biggest critic, but also the thing that's holding us back is all here, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's all like you just mentioned, growing through, climbing that mountain. Sometimes you might be looking at that mountain and you be like, there's no way I can do this. But when you push yourself to put that first foot, no, take that first step or that first leap, you literally surprise yourself. Um, with that being said, what level of importance does a person's faith play in the effect of growth and development journey?
Super important. And this is for people that believe in um, a religion or people
Right.
that just believe in themselves. Like, I think at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
at minimum, you have to believe in yourself, like the faith in yourself. So,
Right.
my business, Faith and Effort, that's
Mm-hmm.
what it's based on. Because, like, God rest her soul, my mother, which
Mm-hmm.
I created the business in her honor,
Mm-hmm.
she always believed in me and she always told me if you want something, you have to work at it. And that's the
Right.
effort part. So, she believed in me before I believed in myself. So for
Right.
me on a journey, like you have to believe in yourself because there's going to be so many people that's doubting you. I had
Yeah.
family members that doubted me when I graduated college and they were like, and I was like, hey, I want to like become a speaker. It's like, yo, you just spent 4 years in school and now
Yeah.
you just want to go talk that you're not going to make any money. But
Right.
now that I done traveled to 8 different states in the month of June and made thousands of dollars like traveling and coming
Nice.
back, and they're like, wow, like I never actually thought that you could make that much money. And
Right.
like the contracts that I have with the schools and stuff like that,
Yeah.
people didn't believe that, but I
Mm.
had to believe it even when I couldn't see it. So I think like faith is super important. And
Mm-hmm.
again, whether you believe in religion, at minimum, you have to believe in yourself. It
Right.
requires no matter what else you believe in, you got to believe in yourself.
Yeah. That's dope, man. And shout out to moms, installing within you that you know that mindset. Like, even if you don't believe in yourself, I believe in you. And then I want people to understand that there are people like that for you, right? And then if you don't have it, you got to believe in yourself. Like Sam said here, it's like, man, I can tell you that if you believe in yourself and you push yourself to the limit, you yourself will shock yourself as well too. You will grow into the area like, man, I didn't know I can do that. They say a man's greatest challenge is not whether he falls, is when he gets back up
Mm-hmm.
and how he gets back up. Right. So, because you bound to fall, you bound to trip, you bound to make some mistakes, hiccups here and there. But the development or the growth of your being is how you deal with any adversity that comes your way, any challenges that you face. So, um, for some, journeys are different. You know, there's this stat that says when the child is being formed in the womb of the mother, there are different parts of the body that grows at a different pace.
Mm-hmm.
They don't grow at the same time. The biggest one that grows faster is the brain. That's why babies have big heads when they grow when they're born. But every part, it grows at a different pace. So growth is not measured by the uh, pace of your neighbor. Your growth is not measured by the pace of somebody next to you. It's your pace. It's all on your own level. What are some of the things that can stop a person from personal growth.
And I'll definitely be real. And the list that I'm about to give is what can stop a person.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't necessarily mean it always does, but
Yeah.
these are like the most like thing. These are the things that I think that impact the most.
Mm-hmm.
Number one is yourself. I think like we have to start with self,
Yeah.
and we have to hold ourselves accountable. That majority of the time we hold ourselves back. I think
Mm-hmm.
number two is environment,
Mm-hmm.
because like if you don't see hope around, it's hard to believe in hope. Like that's a lot of internal battles that you have with yourself to
Right.
to believe that you can overcome what you don't see,
Mm.
um, or like become what you don't see. So I
Right.
think number one is self. Number two is environment. Um, Number three, parents. Um, Again, I have over 10 years of experience working with youth. I've been
Mm-hmm.
doing it since I was 18. I'm 28,
Mm-hmm.
about to be 29 next month.
Oh wow!
And
Happy birthday, man.
hey, thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah.
And during my time working with young people, parents hold their kids back,
Mm.
whether it's how they talk to them, how they engage with them, their
Right.
lack of engagement, lack of involvement. Um, and again, a lot of it also like there's things that affect the parents' lives as well. So I'm not
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
naive to that. Like,
Yeah.
so I understand. But to a certain extent, like it becomes a point where like there's just certain things that as a parent, like you're causing your child to like
Mm.
be where they're at, right?
Yeah.
Um, so like I've worked in programs where I had to like go back and forth with parents, and I'm
Mm.
trying to explain to them, and they're letting me know I don't have any children, right? So there's certain things that I will respect and understand that I don't know.
Right.
I don't understand. I don't
Right.
know how your child is at home versus here,
Right.
but this is what I know when it comes to like working with kids, right? So
Right.
I would say like that's like the top three: yourself, your environment, and maybe not necessarily parents. Let me expand it on like your upbringing, who
Right.
raises you, how you're being
Yeah. Yeah.
raised. So it's not always on parents,
Yeah.
So I would say those three.
No. Yeah. That's yeah. The one with your upbringing. That one is a challenger, and I see that across all minority group or ethnic groups, actually I should say. um it's, I'm originally from Congo, Africa, right? I'm, born and raised, and came to the United States when I was, in my teens. But the one thing that I always admired about my parents is that just because we came here doesn't mean your dreams of self should not stop, right? My parents
Mm-hmm.
didn't care where we were. They knew how they raised us. They with the capacity of go to school, get an education, and then make something of yourself. And if even if you don't complete the whole 4 years degree, 5 year degree, have a plan. As long as it makes sense to you and you find yourself doing it, being happy, do it. So I'm very grateful and blessed to have parents such as like mine. But I know that there are others out there who are, not fortunate enough to be raised in the household like mine, and their reality was way different, like totally the opposite, where
Mm-hmm.
constantly their guardian or their you know person that raised them consistently telling them you won't amount to nothing, you won't amount to nothing, to a point where it becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy in their mind, and they, it's self-sabotage every time they're trying to succeed. Every time they get an ounce of hope, they have to do something to make sure it goes wrong, not knowing intentionally, because they're being fed that verbiage per se that you want to amount to nothing. So if anybody's, to those who are listening, if you are an individual dealing with something like that, or dealing with uh, just mental blockage in any kind of capacity, there is help out there for you. There's ways you can find help, and seek therapy. Find local groups, men groups to support you. We here at the Kingsville podcast team, we got you. Our slogan is always, to rise up to the next level. God's got you, and we got you too. So if you need, somebody to talk to, don't be ashamed to, or be embarrassed to reach out and just, let's just talk it out. But thank you for those 3 points. I would say the things that, and echoing with what you said, the things that can stop a person from personal growth is self, environment, and upbringing, and I will add to that as well too, society norms, like the
Mm.
pressure, like the whole
I was just thinking,
what idea of the ideal man, or I heard this the other day, high value man. Well, not the other day, but I heard it, and then it kind of dawned on me, just like, man, who came up with this whole high value man thing? Like, I want to meet the person that first coined that term, and then ask him, what is a high value man? Because when we say high value men, we're pretty much also kind of are indirectly stating, if you're not in this caliber, you have no value. If you're not in this stature, you have no value, which is false. We're all kings out here, and then to be a king, you got to realize your worth, your value, your importance in today's society. The moment a person starts to feel like they have no value to add, they check out. They check out on themselves, and it's not good. Um, you know, God knows why we're all the way we are. God knows why we are tailored the way we are, wired the way we are. It's because of our skills, your ability to speak, my ability to speak as well too, and get everything in places that it needs to be. It could be a blessing for somebody else. So the society norms are killing us, man. Like they're
yeah,
taking
yeah,
away.
like I just like my whole thing is like if standards and norms are constantly changing, are they actually standards and norms?
Right.
Because like I feel like standards and norms they can be, reevaluated over time, but
Hmm.
if it's changing every 6 months, every year, it's like, is that really a norm? And that so for people that are chasing these standards and these norms
Right.
that are listening, it's like ask yourself, like, is this really a standard or a norm if it's constantly
Mm.
changing? It's or is it a trend? Because that's what a trend is.
Right.
A trend is something that fluctuates and changes depending on external factors.
Correct.
A norm is something that is standard, something that has like existed over time.
Right.
Like so I think a lot of times like society creates these norms and these
Hmm.
filter bubbles on if you are this person living here, this is what it is. This is how life is. This is what you should
Right.
strive for and achieve. This is how you should act. This is how you should dress. So
Yeah.
um yes, it's I've always had that back and forth with people about
And
that.
And some people, when you ask them that question, they can't really answer you because they themselves don't know, right? They're back and forth. Their ability to change is just like they go with the wind. It's like this today it's going to blow in the east, and tomorrow is going to blow in the west. You know,
Hmm.
is there a time frame that a person needs to have in place when it comes to personal development and growth? Do you think, based on, like you said, the norm, um, does personal growth come with a time space or time frame?
I want to say like yes and no
Okay.
because I think when you're on that journey, you're beginning, no,
Mhm.
because you're trying to figure it out, trying to
Mhm.
understand like which direction you want to go in. But
Mhm.
I think once you start to move in a certain direction, there is a time frame because like if you don't, it gets harder and harder to stay in the race, or it gets harder
Mm.
and harder to stay on the journey. The longer that you're on a certain part of your season of your life, it's hard. If it's like repeating the same grade.
Yeah.
It's like it kind of hurt a little bit. Like you gotta like now do
Yeah.
the same thing over and over again, or you gotta go through the same issues
Yeah.
over and over again, the same teachers, the same schedule, the
Yeah.
same school that you didn't like or whatever. Like
Right.
once you on that journey, you're going after something bigger than you. It gets
Mhm.
to a point where like you want more, and the
Right.
fact that you're not getting more, it it makes you think like, do I even deserve this? And now you're starting to question
Mm.
yourself. So I think no when you're beginning, but yes, like when you're in the trenches and you're in the storm and you're
Mhm.
trying to like get through it. because it gets hard to stay in it.
It
Like once you're in
does.
the game, it gets hard.
Yeah, it really does. Because the growth itself, man, like you said, you want to grow and increase that. I like that example of you put repeating the grade. Uh, uh, it's and not only does that hurt personally, but the perspectives, the perspective view, or not the perspective view, the audience's view of you, the people around you, that feeling of feeling ridiculed per se, it can make you feel really bad. So growth and development, the start and finish is pretty much, well, the start is known, but the finish is unknown. Because even when we look at growth itself, and we look at physical growth, that is increasing in size. So when we're talking about growth, in particular to this in this episode, we're talking about increasing from current status or current status quo to another. We're not just talking about, oh, they're just talking about growing and becoming adults. No, 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 we're talking about even the mental growth, right? Things that today not necessarily will be the same things next week, in the sense of, so you always gonna constantly find a way to grow and evolve per se. Because if you stay the same, you become stagnant and there is no development. Earlier you said even when you're not moving, the development is there, but I think that development will be there with the intention of, once this stage is over, I need to move forward. All right.
Mhm.
Being stagnant and saying, "Oh yeah, I'm developing," but there's no motion. That kind of, it renders the whole purpose of wanting to grow obsolete. Um, I like that analogy. I like that breakdown of it. What's the best? No, what does the best version of one look like? Because I know within your company, your mantra per se, or your particular underlining message, you always want to push people, you challenge people to be the best version of themselves. So what does being the best version of oneself look like to you? Or is it subjective?
Um, it is subjective.
Mm,
I think everyone has to define that, but actually really think about it.
mm,
Like truly think about, and honestly, the best version of yourself will eventually, there will be another best version. Like I always say, my
mm,
grandfather, God rest his soul, always say, make your best better. So meaning that your current ceiling should eventually be your floor. So it's never a point where we're not, where we're going to get to a point and it's like, this is the best version of myself. But
mm,
I will say the best version of yourself that you can see, meaning the next level of who
mm-hmm,
you are, has to be truly defined, truly thought
mm,
out, and it has to speak to the soul in a way where you're hungry every day for it. So for
mm,
me personally, the best version of myself is an individual that has control of all 24 hours of his time, meaning that I set every moment. No one else dictates
mm-hmm,
what that hour or what does 1 o'clock look like for me.
mm,
Like being able to get to that level, if I had to like simplify it, means a whole bunch. It means becoming a full-time speaker, an
mm-hmm,
international speaker, a best-selling author,
mm,
becoming someone that has developed curriculum for school districts and
mm-hmm,
has changed the landscape of how education is being taught in public schools,
mm-hmm,
in alternative schools, right? Being someone that can provide for his family so that they can do what they want and move how they need to move. Um, and that's the best version of what I see next for myself. Like,
nice.
but once I get there, there's going to be another best version that I'm
Yeah,
now going to want to seek because
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
never want to get complacent. My grandfather always used to tell me, what's next? I would come to him and say, I started a business. What's next?
Mm-hmm,
I started selling merchandise. What's next? I got my first paid speaking gig. What's
mm,
next? And I used to ask, like, get frustrated. And one day he told me, I don't ever want you to get complacent and feel
mm,
like this is the best that you can do. because you
Right.
can always make your best better.
Nice. Wow. That's dope, man. That's dope. And again, lucky to have people like that, or had people like that in your life that brought that mindset to you, that challenged you in that level. So, um, man, that's a really good one. And I pray that God allows you the opportunities and open up the doors for you, that everything that you just spoke of, because the Bible says, make known to God your desires and then thank him for what he's already done. So you're grateful for what he's already done. So hey, here's what I'm about to do next. And the Bible tells us, in order for us to find success in our plans, we got to bring it to him, right? Because somebody one time said, you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. No, that's not making God laugh. Telling God your plans is what he has placed in you, especially if you find your purpose. If you find your purpose and you're like, you know what? I want to do this because this will better this, and that. Um, it's it is a testament to your upbringing, the testament to your faith, the testament to your values and your morals that you hold. So I got a question for you though. So if somebody were to look at Sam and say, without even you, without you telling them directly, do you think how you portray yourself or what you put out to society, put out to the world, can highlight four areas of your life that is not questionable? Like your four key pillars, meaning who is Sam and your brand. They can tell, no, he's this, and that. Do you think you transmit that easily to the world?
I would say my four pillars: um, intention, being intentional.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing people know, that
Mm-hmm.
I'm an intentional person.
Good.
Whatever I did put my mind to, like I want it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the second one, I would say youth. Like if people know me, like that's what I'm about. Because my backstory and how a lot of adults viewed me a certain way
Mm-hmm.
and treated me a certain way. But then I had a few adults early in my life when I was at a crossword road at
Mm-hmm.
15 really helped, like, save my life.
Mm-hmm.
I told myself, I ever get an opportunity, I'm gonna do the same. So
Mm-hmm.
I would say being intentional,
Mm-hmm.
youth. Um, I would say like love. I love to spread love, good
Mm-hmm.
vibes, good energy, make people
Mm-hmm.
like feel good, make
Mm-hmm.
people feel, supported, make people, my friends will definitely tell you, like, I check in on all my friends, or
Mm-hmm.
I just, like, have conversations. My girlfriend, she would tell you that, I
Mm-hmm.
try to be intentional and try to, give her, the love that she wants and she
Right.
desires and she deserves. Um, so I would say love. So intentional, youth, love. And the last thing I would say, impact.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's ultimately, when I leave here, I truly, truly want to be known as someone that has impacted. Like,
Right.
it, the one thing I love, and everyone will tell you,
Mm-hmm.
that truly knows me. The one thing I truly love for my birthday is cards more than anything. Like, write
Nice.
me a card, write something, amazing. I have a bin of cards of
Nice.
just people that have just birthdays, just thank yous,
Mm-hmm.
youth that have impacted their lives. So I truly want to, like, impact and leave the legacy of impact. Like,
Right.
if I leave today, I just want to know, like, I want to impact every day.
Right.
I ask God every morning when I talk to him, allow me to impact and help somebody today.
Nice.
Just one person, even if it's just one person. So those will be
Nice.
the four pillars.
Man, God bless your heart, brother. God bless. Listen, and don't worry, you're gonna get a card from us on your birthday.
I
Um,
appreciate it.
man, that right there is what I like to hear when an individual, not just the coming story or the becoming of them story, but the because I went through this, I know how that can impact somebody, that can affect somebody. I'm going to do the opposite to help those who are affected by those things to be better. So pretty much you're pretty much walking upon or creating a blueprint road, right? This blueprint road of how to find yourself and better yourself, how to find yourself and improve in all areas of your life in every situation. Because some of us are just dealt with the back hand of cards, man. Some all just are just it's just the way it is, you know. I'm
That's
a
fact.
preacher, and there's one thing that I tell people when them ask questions at the church, like, you know, why would this thing happen to me? Right? Without getting too spiritual, without getting too churchy, the bottom line of most things is so God can get the glory, right? So God can get the glory. God will would yield you, say that 5 times, will yield you from a certain area of life to bring you to a certain area, so you can look back and be like, yo, that was God, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just happens that some of us don't really spot that right away. It takes us a while to see it. You know, some of us don't connect to that right away because we're dealing with so much and a lot of things that's around us. But to God gets the glory no matter what happens in our life, right? And is when we're giving him the glory, even in the moments of trouble, even in the moments of uneasiness, he will heal our hearts at that moment to get us to see, oh no, he had my back the entire time. Because even the people around you, your family and everything like that, are not defending you or not standing up for you. God always will. You know, it is a powerful, powerful message that a lot of people are not fortunate enough to hear. But like I said, I don't want to go too much into that side, because once I start preaching, brother, I don't stop. The Lord has put truly in my heart to create platforms such as this, or our other podcast channel, Straight Talk, on this, you know, internet platform base like this, to get the conversation going. Like I said at the beginning of the statement, Kingsville Podcast is created to help edify, to educate, elevate the minds. You know, if you find yourself listening to anything that we're saying right now, you're like, yo, how do I better myself, or what do I need to do? Well, one of our sponsors will definitely be a good fit. The name of the sponsor is BetterHelp. Right, BetterHelp is an online therapy company that help and assist people who are going through problems. So they take away from the hecticness of signing all these documentation and papers. That no, you just, you know, download the app or go on the website, download. The promo code will be on the bottom of this video. When you get a chance, if you're watching it on YouTube, and we'll put the description as well too on audio format. But brother, thank you so much for sharing. And I know there's a deeper story there that if we had time allowed us, we would go into it. I have this other question for you though. What would you tell somebody facing difficulties or challenges in their life right now? Um, what would you tell them that can prevent them from making the wrong decisions in life, and that will help them grow into the right decision to be the best version of themselves?
I would tell them sometimes you need to have a breakdown and have a breakthrough.
Say that again from the people in the back. They didn't hear you.
Sometimes you need to have a breakdown to have a breakthrough.
Mm,
Sometimes you need to know what rock bottom feel like, so you get
mm,
to a point where you be like, you know what? No more. No mas.
mm,
I'm good. I don't want this no more. Because people take for granted life. People take
mm,
for granted waking up.
mm-hmm.
There's people that don't wake up and that are perfectly healthy. So
Yeah.
right now, if you're struggling, if you're going through it, like I've dealt through it, I've been homeless. I've lost both my parents. I've like felt with depression
Mm,
and battled depression even to this day. I still, I have a therapist. I'm very much pro mental health and working on your mental health.
yes, sir.
The one thing that I know, because I've been there
Mm,
at 9 years old, at 15 years old, at 22 years old, the one thing I truly know is that when you're at the bottom, you have to tell yourself that I'm ready. I'm ready to fight back.
mhm,
I'm ready to just take it day by day. And that's another thing. The biggest thing is like just focus on today. Set yourself like small objectives, like by the end of the day, this is where I want to be, or this is what I want to do. Make it realistic, make it attainable, make it digestible. Meaning, like, don't try to. You're not going to change your life going from like, at the bottom to at the top. It's not going to happen. And people got to understand that it's not going to happen in a day or
Mm.
7, or it could be 30 days, it could be 60 days,
Mm.
whatever it is. I've seen people literally go from like on drugs on the street to like a nice paying job, a house, a good
Mm-hmm.
credit, like, just a better life, a family. I've seen
Yeah.
it. And and everyone has a different circumstances, but we all are
Right.
built to like become the people that we desire to be. But it's really just like that. Like,
Mm.
sometimes you just got to get to the point of like, all right, no more, and then find a way to just do a little bit, 1%, improve by 1% every day,
There you go.
and eventually you're going to look up and be like, wow, how did I get here?
Yeah.
And it's because like you just didn't like quit, didn't give up. And I look at my life, like everything I've been through is just like I didn't quit. I didn't give up.
And I'm glad you didn't, man. I really am. I'm really glad that you didn't, bro. It's like one of those things where I always used to tell my friends in college, man, no matter whatever you're going through, man, if you want to call me, we can just hang out, just talk. Because there's this thing about how men don't open up, right? At times we don't, but it's not because we don't want to, is we just don't know how to. And I've come to I've come to realization, the moments that I felt I didn't feel like opening up was because I didn't trust the person that was asking me to open up. And I was like, somehow God protecting my heart and protecting my sanity,
Mm.
of you can't trust everybody with your problems, right? But it wasn't like I'm trusting them to fix my problem. It was just about talking. So I took myself from a perspective of, nah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm not just going to be telling people my feelings to. No, I got to pick and choose who I tell my feelings to. I got to pick and choose who I tell my feelings to. And once you create your village, your circle, of people who you trust, it becomes easier. And your support system, um, and sometimes people in your support system are not even family.
Mm. No,
For
that's right.
my 4 years of college, the biggest go to in my support system was somebody I met at campus, right? Like, and I thank God for them because they needed to be there at that moment. They could have graduated a year prior, because I think there was a year older than me. Could have graduated a year prior. They could have just something could have happened, but our path needed to cross in order for us to better ourselves. And today, I can say with great joy and honor, I'm going to be one of the groomsmen at his wedding. Right.
Amazing.
Right. So it's like 2012 to 2023, we should have been lost contact, but no, God needed to put somebody in my circle to keep me straight. Moments where I didn't feel like doing anything. He's been through. We've he and I've been through a lot. That's my boy to the day. So it's like people will be there for you at a certain degree. So I'm glad you didn't check out, because God needed you to come across people that will come on. I got you.
Mm.
I will drag you along with me, and I'm also like forced, but just I got you.
And that part too, because I think like it's also important, like also to my point where I was just saying, like, you have to say no more.
Mm-hmm.
And once you do that, like you said, you also have to like find the right people. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
found the right people.
Mm-hmm.
15 years old, I'm 13 years later, from
Mm-hmm.
the other youth that I met when I was a youth in the youth program that saved my life, the Coachville Youth Initiative, to the adults. Like, two of the adults, like they're in my life, like, and I call on them all the time. I do business with them. You know, they're my family, and I think that's important too, because in a world where you're already like out in the cold and it's dark, and you're just like just protecting yourself from everything and anything,
Yeah.
and you have triggers, you have these different things. It's like finding the right people or allowing the people that find you to
Mm-hmm.
get to prove that they deserve to be in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it's a level of like, don't trust everybody that
Right.
says they want to help, because they might see something in you that
They're
they
trying
could
to
take
diminish.
advantage
Yeah.
of.
Mm-hmm.
But like, give them a chance. Like, let them tell you who they are,
Mm-hmm.
and then act accordingly. And for me, I push back, and a lot of adults, so I push back, they let me go, but
Mm-hmm.
they held on. And that's for me and the friends that I have. Like, I look
Right.
10, 12-year friendships, 13-year friendships. And it's just crazy how, like, those people are still in my life in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And we're still connected. We still support each other. So,
Yeah.
to your point, I think combining those two is the best advice that you could tell somebody.
Yeah, man. There's those who are going to be for us, there's those who are going to be against us, and I found that not even it's not even purposely that they're against us, because they just don't understand us. They don't
Mm-hmm.
understand the kind of light or the design, like you said earlier when you told some of your family members, hey, after college I want to become a speaker. They're like, you just spent 4 years in school. What are you doing? Like, so it's just like they don't even understand. Sometimes it's okay for them to not understand, because they needed not to understand in order for you to push through and then become who you are today. There's always that theory perspective, right? There's 5 ways you can view something in life. Do you know what the 5 ways are?
Mm-hmm.
The 5 ways as far as like decision making and perspective, or action, based on the information you're being given, right? You can view it as transformative, creative, proactive, productive, and when necessarily reactive. So how you're transforming information, okay, is what you're giving me, can I transfer that to my life, right? Or the creative ways, like, okay, how can I produce something based on what you've given me, make lemons out of lemonade? Or proactive, okay, how do I take initiative into this thing that you're telling me? Or productive, okay, how do I make this grow? How do I duplicate this to become better? And when necessary, reactive, how do I prevent this from hurting me? So
Mm-hmm.
we're constantly in those 5 stages, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I wouldn't say constantly. We're always in those 5 stages, and we're wanting to take something from someone and stuff like that. So the challenges that we face in life when it comes to growth and development, um, it's laid out right in front of us. When you take the time, like you said, when you come to a realization of, nah, no more. I don't want to be here. There's got to be something better. And some people are strong enough to come to that understanding and then push themselves to come out of it. Some people aren't strong enough, and then they check out, by taking their own lives in situations like that. So by all means, we're not saying those who don't make it out or don't make something out of themselves during tough situations are not valued or not, strong, anything like that. No, our focus or our conversation has simply been on bettering yourself from a point of pretty much no return based on society norms, or wanting to better yourself from a perspective of, could I, or am I able to, right? So
And
um
I don't think it's ever too late. I don't
right.
think it's ever too late. There's
Yeah.
an individual from Philly. His name is Wallow. Spent 20 plus years in jail. Came out, and he could have just went to the streets. He decided, like, no more.
Mm-hmm.
And now him and his cousin Gilly, they got, you know a crazy contract with Barstool with their podcast. Like,
Wow.
he's traveling, he's speaking at conferences, he's doing
Nice.
so much for himself. So also, like, to those that, we're not saying it's ever too late. We just saying that's
Yeah.
what's required. You can be
Mm-hmm.
40 and all you need to do is say no more and find the right people. You can
Yeah.
be 50 and say no more and find the right people.
Yeah.
And then, depending on how much you work, you can expedite the process. Like,
Right.
Wallow, he's been home for 4 years, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe 4 years, and he has expedited the process. He had did what people took 20 years to do. He did it in 4.
Wow.
So it's like, it's
That's
also
crazy.
just to that point too. And
Yeah.
side note, I need you to send me those 5.
Oh yeah, I
Oh
got
yeah,
you.
yeah. because
I got you.
that's
Part of the
like
note.
crazy. I never learned about that, and I'm always trying to seek knowledge. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's never too late, y'all.
it's
Just use
really
those
not.
2 recipes to get started, and then everything else you figure out. It's never too late.
Exactly. And the following thing on that with those five, right? And it goes to say you choose the mode or the approach in which you want to take towards these things every time,
Mm-hmm.
right? On a previous podcast that we did, there was a quote that we talked about um, regarding being corrected, right? If somebody's trying to correct you on your behavior and you feel offended by said correction, you have an ego problem. It also stems from like, no, I've been told something negative all my life. So when I hear somebody trying to correct my behavior, I automatically associate it with that negative thing. So sometimes you just got to take a step back. Where is this coming from? Where's this person trying to approach me? Just like in a relationship, right? You're in a relationship with your lady, and I'm in a relationship with my girl, and I know in a relationship when one person is trying to approach the other person on a topic or something about how the other person made the other person feel, you always got to look at it. How can I approach the situation without one not becoming off as offensive, but how can I approach this relationship from a place of love, right?
Mm-hmm.
From a place of love and from a place of I know this wasn't done intentionally because most arguments is always, and I'm not saying this is pertaining to our relationships, but I'm saying most arguments in general when it comes to relationships is me versus the person. Oh, I'm right versus you're wrong. But God has placed it within my heart, to look at that differently. And as always, how do you bring this up from the place of love? Because like the Bible says, love knows no boundaries, love knows no harm, love knows none of that. So you bring it up to get the person to see, and by you doing that, it can later help that person grow or develop into a better person. Not that they're worse, but just a better, like you said, 1%. If I'm 1% better today than I was yesterday, I'm doing something right. I'm
That's
doing something right. If I am 1% better today than I was yesterday, then I'm doing something right. And I pray to God that for those who listening, every day it's a constant growth. Every day is a constant growth, and you want to evolve. And like you said earlier at the beginning, once you find that purpose and you find that area, like you of growth, you want to thirst after it. Like you get hungry for it, especially when it's defined and clearly stated. But we're at the end of our episode here, brother. Thank you again for being on the show. So the last couple of minutes, you just take the time, tell the people where they can find you, what do you have coming up. The book, I know you said it's coming out soon, where they can get a copy once that's released. So the floor is yours.
Oh yeah, for sure. So one, thank you for this awesome conversation. I really enjoyed it.
Thank
This
you.
one of my, I just love just being on podcasts. I love engaging, having conversations with individuals. So I definitely want us to stay connected, for
Absolutely.
sure. Um, but everybody, you can find me if you're looking to book me as a professional speaker for your college, high school, middle school. Um, I can be found at www.faithandeffort.org, where I also facilitate workshops around leadership development, mindset development, and like becoming the best version of yourself through my storytelling, through connecting with the audience, and through engagement. And then also, if you're looking, you can go to that same website, faithandeffort.org, if you're looking to book me to come in and work with your staff on leadership development, on improving your programs and the different things that you have for your audience that you serve. I'm
Mm,
happy to come in and just work and connect with your staff as well. And then, of course, my socials where you can catch me in action, everything I'm doing, traveling, speaking, working with clients, different things like that. Um, that is Instagram and LinkedIn, as well as TikTok, Faith and Effort. So
mm-hmm.
everything is Faith and Effort. I'll make sure to share the links with you so that you can have it in the description.
Yep.
And for those that
Definitely
are
will.
looking for the book, Grow Through What You Go Through, where I dive and in the topics that we had talked about today, even more to give you the skills, the knowledge, and the confidence to become the best version of yourself. Definitely get you a copy of the book. I'll send you the link where they'll be able to
Mm-hmm.
get it, and it will be on my website again, www.faithandeffort.org. Thank you so much, man. It's been
Awesome.
amazing.
Thank you, man. Hey, the pleasure and honors are it's all mine. Usually we end it with a prayer, but I want to end it a little bit different today. This is the scripture. 2 Peter chapter 3 tells us that growth in the grace and knowledge of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, right? When it's asking us to grow in the faith and knowledge, no, grow in grace and knowledge, it's not talking about the physical transformation of like body as you see to the planet. Rather, it's a passage referring to the spiritual growth and the growing closer to God. And like Brother Sam said earlier, if the if your faith is something that you want to lean on to help you grow and develop, I know for me, being a fellow brother in Christ, fellow believer in Jesus Christ, for me, my faith tailored that. My growth and my development, I just leaned on faith and understanding that. So when it says grow in grace and mercy, I always looked at what am I doing today that'll be a blessing for others? Like Brother Sim said, how am I impacting others? So you too have the ability and the capacity to impact the life of others. There's a particular quote where it says, let me see if I can find it. I lost my spot here. It's okay because we can get it back right now. All right, got it. And it talks about for you not to give up on your morals. Don't give up on your morals. Don't give up on your morals. Don't bend to anything. Stay strong with what you believe because what you believe in now would definitely be another uh, passage to somebody else's success down the line. Thank you for tuning in. Um, all the descriptions and all the layouts of the social for Sam that he mentioned will be on the description on the YouTube version and on the audio version, whether it be Spotify or Apple podcasts. So thank you for tuning in. Remember, to all my kings and queens out there, remember, rise up to the next level. God's got you. We do too. Peace.